The billionaire's daughter wouldn't stop crying until a stranger did the impossible. She never meant to lie, but sometimes survival doesn't wait for honesty. That cold November night, Natalie Moreno walked into a billionaire's house wearing a borrowed blazer 2 sizes too big and a smile that hid how completely broken she was. She had no savings, no family, just a fake resume and a desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, this job could save her. The door opened, and there he was, Cole Hartwell, the kind of man who didn't just walk into a room, he owned it. Cold eyes, perfect suit, no smile. "You're late," he said. She tried to explain something about the bus, but he didn't care. Upstairs, his daughter was crying, and in that moment, something inside Natalie shifted. She could have left, she should have left, but instead, she said the words that changed everything. "I won't waste your time." And she didn't. Because what happened inside that house would turn lies into truth, pain into love, and a stranger into the only person who could heal them all. If you believe that some people are meant to save each other, hit like and subscribe before this story begins. Because what comes next will prove that love doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Let me rewind, show you how it all began. 2 weeks earlier, Natalie had been fired from her waitressing job. The rent was 3 days overdue. Her younger brother's tuition payment was coming due, and her phone wouldn't stop ringing with calls from debt collectors about her mother's medical bills. She was drowning, and then she saw it. A job posting, vague, almost too good to be true. Temporary nanny needed, discretion required, competitive salary. Natalie stared at the screen. She had no childcare experience, no references, no training, but she had desperation, and desperation makes people do impossible things. So, she built a lie. Carefully, methodically, a resume with foreign references that would be hard to verify. Years of experience she didn't have. A professional calm she didn't feel. She sent it at midnight, fingers trembling over the keyboard, and somehow they called back. Now here she stood, in the marble-lined foyer of the Hartwell estate, her heart hammering so loud she was sure he could hear it. Cole Hartwell studied her with eyes like winter storms, sharp, assessing, missing nothing. "My daughter is upstairs," he said, his voice flat and controlled. "She doesn't sleep, she barely speaks. 3 nannies have quit in 2 months. He stepped closer. "If you waste my time, you'll be the 4th. Natalie's throat tightened, but then she heard it. A soft, broken sound from somewhere above them. A child crying. Not the angry tantrum kind, the soul-deep, grief-heavy kind, the kind Natalie knew too well. "I won't waste your time," she said quietly, meeting his gaze. Cole studied her for a long, unnerving moment, like he was trying to see through her skin into whatever truth she was hiding. Then he turned without a word and started up the grand staircase. Natalie followed, her pulse racing, knowing that with every step she was walking deeper into a lie she might not be able to escape. The nursery was beautiful in the way only money could buy. Soft grey walls, a canopy bed shaped like a cloud, shelves filled with expensive toys that looked untouched, unloved. But it felt empty, cold, like a showroom where no child actually lived. And in the center of it all, curled on the floor beside her bed, was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 4. Dark curls falling across her face, small hands clutching a stuffed rabbit with one ear missing, her body still trembling even though the crying had stopped. Her name is Sophie, Cole said from the doorway, his tone clinical, detached. She hasn't adjusted well since... He paused, something flickering across his face. Since her mother left. Natalie's chest tightened. She knelt slowly, a few feet away from Sophie, not wanting to startle her. "Hi, Sophie," she said softly. The little girl didn't look up. "My name is Natalie, but you can call me Nat if you want." She waited, letting the silence breathe. "That's a very special rabbit you have." "Nothing." Natalie glanced around the room. Her eyes landed on a small music box on the nightstand, delicate, hand-painted, shaped like a carousel. She reached for it carefully and wound the key. A soft, tinkling melody filled the air. Sophie's head lifted, just slightly. Natalie began to hum along, her voice low and warm, filling the spaces between the notes. She didn't try to touch the child, didn't force conversation. She just sat there, humming, letting the music do what words couldn't. Slowly, Sophie's breathing evened out. Then, so quietly Natalie almost missed it, the little girl whispered, "Mama used to sing that." Natalie's heart cracked wide open. She looked over her shoulder at Cole, who stood frozen in the doorway. His jaw was tight, his hands clenched at his sides, and for the first time she saw past the cold billionaire exterior. She saw a father who was drowning too. An hour later, Sophie was asleep, tucked into bed, her rabbit held close, her breathing finally peaceful. Natalie stepped into the hallway and found Cole waiting. He was leaning against the wall, arms crossed, staring at the floor like it held answers he couldn't find. "She hasn't slept through the night in weeks," he said quietly. Natalie nodded. "She's grieving." "I know that." His voice sharpened defensively, then softer. "I just don't know how to help her." For a moment they stood in the dim hallway, two strangers bound by the weight of a child's sadness. "You hired me to help," Natalie said. "So let me." Cole looked at her then, really looked at her, not as an employee, not as a solution to a problem, as someone who might actually understand. "You start tomorrow, 6 a.m. Natalie nodded, but as she turned to leave, he spoke again. "Why did you apply for this job?" She froze. The lie was ready, the safe, professional answer. But something about the way he asked, tired, raw, almost human, made her tell a different kind of truth. "Because I needed to believe I could still help someone," she said quietly, "even if I couldn't help myself." Cole didn't respond, but the look in his eyes shifted. Curiosity, recognition, something dangerous. Natalie left the estate that night with a contract in her hand and a knot in her stomach. She'd lied her way into this job. She had no training, no real references, no idea what she was doing. But when she thought of Sophie's small, trembling voice, "Mama used to sing that," she knew she couldn't walk away. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because for the first time in months, Natalie felt something other than desperation. She felt needed. And that was worth any lie she had to tell. And that was the moment everything changed. 6 a.m. came too early. Natalie stood outside the estate gates as dawn broke over the city, her breath forming small clouds in the cold air. She'd barely slept. All night, she'd rehearsed answers to questions Cole might ask, about her experience, her methods, her references. The lie felt heavier now, more real. But when the gates opened and she walked up the long driveway, it wasn't interrogation that waited for her. It was chaos. The front door was already open. Inside, she could hear Sophie screaming. Natalie ran. She found them in the kitchen, Cole still in his dress shirt from the night before, looking more exhausted than angry, and Sophie, red-faced and sobbing, her small fists pounding against the marble counter. "She won't eat," Cole said flatly. "She hasn't eaten in 2 days." Natalie set down her bag and approached slowly. Sophie's cries were raw, desperate, the kind that came from somewhere deeper than hunger. "Sophie," Natalie said gently, crouching down to the child's level, "can you tell me what's wrong?" The little girl shook her head violently, her dark curls whipping across her tear-streaked face. Natalie glanced at the counter. A plate of perfectly cut fruit, organic yogurt, whole grain toast, all untouched. "What did she used to eat?" Natalie asked quietly. Cole frowned. "I don't know, the nannies always handled meals. But before that, when her mother was here." His jaw tightened. "I was never home for breakfast." The admission hung in the air, heavy and painful. Natalie stood and opened the refrigerator. She scanned the contents, expensive, pristine, untouched. Then she opened the pantry. On the top shelf, pushed to the back, she found it. A box of chocolate chip pancake mix, half empty, dusty. She pulled it down and turned to Sophie. "Do you like pancakes?" Sophie's crying slowed. She looked up, eyes wide and wet. Natalie smiled softly. "Me too. My mama used to make them every Sunday." She held up the box. "Want to help me?" For a long moment, Sophie didn't move. Then, slowly, she nodded. 20 minutes later, the kitchen smelled like butter and vanilla. Sophie sat on the counter, her small hands carefully pouring batter into the pan while Natalie guided her. She wasn't smiling yet, but the tension in her small body had eased. She was focused, present. Cole stood in the doorway, watching. He hadn't said a word since Natalie started cooking. He just stood there, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. But Natalie could feel his eyes on her, studying, assessing, questioning. "Flip," Natalie said gently, helping Sophie turn the pancake. The little girl's eyes lit up when she saw the golden brown surface. "Good job," Natalie whispered. Sophie looked up at her, and for the first time she smiled. It was small, fragile, but it was there. Natalie's chest tightened. When the pancakes were done, Sophie climbed down and carried her plate to the table. She ate slowly, carefully, one small bite at a time. Natalie exhaled. She hadn't realized she'd been holding her breath. "How did you know?" Cole's voice came from behind her, low and controlled. Natalie turned. He was closer now, close enough that she could see the exhaustion etched into his face, the shadows under his eyes, the tension in his shoulders. "I didn't," she admitted. "I just guessed." "Oh, you guessed right." There was something in his tone, not gratitude exactly, more like surprise, as if he wasn't used to people understanding things he couldn't. "She's not difficult," Natalie said quietly. "She's hurting." Cole's expression hardened. "I know that." "Do you?" The words slipped out before she could stop them. His eyes snapped to hers, sharp and cold. "Excuse me?" Natalie should have backed down, should have apologized, played it safe. But she didn't. "You hired 3 nannies in 2 months, she said. "You're never home for breakfast. You don't know what she likes to eat." She paused. "You're trying to fix her like she's a problem. But she doesn't need fixing. She needs her father." The silence that followed was suffocating. Cole stepped closer, his voice dropping to something dangerous. "You've been here one day. You don't know anything about me, or my daughter, "You're right," Natalie said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "But I know what it's like to lose someone, and I know that money can't replace presence." His jaw clenched. For a moment she thought he might fire her on the spot, but then Sophie's small voice cut through the tension. "Daddy?" They both turned. Sophie was standing by the table, her empty plate in her hands, looking between them with wide, uncertain eyes. Cole's expression shifted immediately. The coldness melted, replaced by something softer, more vulnerable. "Yes, sweetheart. Can Nat stay?" The question was so simple, so pure. Cole looked at Natalie, really looked at her, and for the first time, she saw past the walls he'd built. The grief, the guilt, the fear of failing the one person who mattered most. "Yes," he said quietly. "She can stay." The rest of the morning passed in careful silence. Natalie took Sophie outside to the garden, where they collected fallen leaves and built a small fort beneath the oak tree. Sophie didn't talk much, but she stayed close, her small hand occasionally brushing against Natalie's arm, as if testing whether she was real. Cole watched from his office window. He told himself it was to make sure the new nanny was competent, that he was simply being thorough. But the truth was harder to admit. He couldn't look away. There was something about the way Natalie moved, unhurried, genuine, present. She didn't perform kindness the way the other nannies had, like it was a job requirement. She just was kind. And Sophie responded to it. For the first time in months, his daughter looked like a child again, not a broken thing, not a problem to solve, just a little girl playing in the leaves. Cole's chest tightened. He pulled out his phone and called his head of security. "Run a full background check on Natalie Moreno," he said. "I want everything. Education, employment history, references, everything." There was a pause on the other end. "Is there a problem, sir?" Cole's eyes drifted back to the window. Natalie was kneeling in the grass now, showing Sophie how to make a leaf crown. His daughter was laughing, actually laughing. "No," he said quietly. "Just be thorough." He ended the call. Something about her didn't add up. The way she'd known exactly what to do with Sophie. The way she'd spoken to him without fear, without the carefully rehearsed deference everyone else used. She was either exactly what she claimed to be, or she was lying. And Cole Hartwell had built an empire on knowing the difference. That evening, as Natalie was preparing to leave, Cole stopped her in the foyer. "Tomorrow," he said, "I have a business dinner. You'll need to stay late." Natalie nodded. "Of course." "Sophie doesn't do well with strangers. If she wakes up, she'll ask for you." "I understand." He hesitated, his hand resting on the banister. "You were right. Earlier. About what you said." Natalie looked up, surprised. "I haven't been present," he continued, his voice low. "I thought providing for her was enough, that keeping everything running, keeping everything perfect, was what a father did." He paused. "But she doesn't need perfect, does she?" "No," Natalie said softly. "She just needs you." Cole met her eyes, and for a brief, unguarded moment, she saw it again, the man beneath the armor, tired, lost, trying. "Thank you," he said, "for today." Natalie smiled gently. "It's my job." "No," Cole said, "it's more than that." The words hung between them, fragile and heavy. Then he turned and walked away, leaving Natalie standing in the foyer, her heart beating just a little too fast. But neither of them knew that the lie she'd told was about to unravel. 3 weeks passed like water through open hands. Sophie began to bloom. She spoke more, smiled more, even laughed when Natalie chased her through the garden playing make-believe. The nightmares came less frequently. The crying stopped almost entirely, and Cole watched. He started coming home earlier, not by much, 20 minutes here, half an hour there, but enough to catch the tail end of dinner, to hear Sophie's sleepy voice recounting her day, enough to see the way Natalie moved through his home like she belonged there, filling spaces he hadn't realized were empty. It unsettled him, not because she was doing anything wrong, but because she was doing everything right, and the background check had come back clean. Too clean. References that checked out but felt vague, employment dates that aligned but left gaps, a paper trail that existed but didn't quite tell a full story. Cole didn't trust it, but every time he considered confronting her, he'd see Sophie reach for Natalie's hand, or hear his daughter's laughter echo through the house for the first time in months, and he'd decide to wait. Just one more day. It was a Saturday morning when everything shifted. Natalie arrived early as always, but found the estate strangely quiet. No Sophie running to greet her. No sound of Cole's voice on a conference call from his office. She found him in the kitchen, staring at his laptop, a cold cup of coffee forgotten beside him. "Mr. Hartwell?" He looked up, and she saw it immediately. The exhaustion etched deeper than usual, the tension in his jaw. "The Singapore deal fell through," he said flatly. 3 months of negotiations gone. Natalie set down her bag. "I'm sorry." "Are you?" His voice was sharp, defensive. "You don't even know what I'm talking about." "No," she admitted, "but I know what it's like to fail at something that matters." He studied her for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, his shoulders sagged. "I'm supposed to fly out tonight. Fix it in person." He ran a hand through his hair. "But Sophie..." "I'll stay with her," Natalie said immediately. "It's the weekend." "You'd be here alone overnight." "I understand." Cole's eyes searched hers. "Why are you so willing to give up your life for this job?" The question hit harder than he'd intended. Natalie looked away. "Maybe I don't have much of a life to give up." The honesty in her voice silenced him. Before either could say more, Sophie appeared in the doorway, rubbing sleep from her eyes, her stuffed rabbit dragging behind her. "Nat," she said softly. Natalie's expression transformed immediately, all warmth, all light. "Good morning, sweetheart." Sophie padded over and climbed into Natalie's lap without hesitation, curling against her chest like it was the most natural thing in the world. And Cole felt something crack inside him, because his daughter hadn't sought comfort from him like that in over a year. Cole left for the airport that afternoon. But as his car pulled away from the estate, he couldn't shake the image of Natalie sitting on the floor with Sophie, their heads bent together over a coloring book, the late autumn sun streaming through the windows. It looked like home, more than his house ever had. That evening, after Sophie was asleep, Natalie sat in the quiet kitchen with a cup of tea, finally allowing herself to breathe. Her phone buzzed. "Unknown number. We need the rent by Monday or you're out. No exceptions this time." Her stomach dropped. She'd been so focused on Sophie, on keeping up the illusion of competence and stability, that she'd almost forgotten about her own crumbling life. The apartment she was about to lose, the younger brother she was trying to put through community college, the medical bills from her mother's death that still haunted her credit score. This job was supposed to fix everything, but the lie was getting heavier. She typed out a reply. "I'll have it, I promise." She didn't know if that was true. The next morning, Sophie woke up asking for her father. "He had to go on a trip," Natalie explained gently. "But he'll be back soon." Sophie's face fell. "He's always gone." "I know, sweetheart. But he's working hard. For you." "I don't want him to work. I want him to stay." Natalie's heart broke. "How about we do something special today? Just you and me." "Like what?" Natalie thought for a moment. Then she smiled. "Have you ever been to the city park? The one with the big fountain?" Sophie shook her head. "Then let's go. We'll have a real adventure." An hour later, they stood at the entrance to the public park, a world away from the manicured gardens of the estate. Sophie clutched Natalie's hand tightly, wide-eyed at the chaos of children running, dogs barking, street musicians playing. It was loud and messy and completely uncontrolled, and Sophie loved it. They fed ducks at the pond. They got ice cream from a cart, chocolate chip for Sophie, vanilla for Natalie. They sat on a bench and watched a man draw portraits in chalk on the pavement. "Why don't we come here more?" Sophie asked. "I don't know," Natalie said honestly. "Maybe your dad doesn't know about it." "Can we bring him?" Natalie smiled. "Maybe someday." As they walked back toward the fountain, Sophie suddenly tugged on Natalie's hand. "Nat?" "Yes? Are you going to leave like Mama did?" The question stole Natalie's breath. She knelt down, eye level with the little girl, and took both of her small hands. "Sophie, She stopped herself from making a promise she might not be able to keep. "I'm here right now and I'm not going anywhere today, okay? But what about tomorrow?" Natalie's throat tightened. "One day at a time, sweetheart. That's all any of us can promise." Sophie thought about this, then nodded slowly. "Okay." She threw her small arms around Natalie's neck and held on tight, and Natalie realized with startling clarity that she'd stopped pretending weeks ago. This wasn't just a job anymore. This was love. They returned to the estate as the sun was setting. Sophie was exhausted, her cheeks flushed from running and laughter, her shoes muddy from the park. Natalie carried her inside up the stairs, through the evening routine, bath, pajamas, story time. As she tucked Sophie into bed, the little girl reached up and touched Natalie's face. "I love you, Nat," she whispered. Natalie's eyes burned. "I love you too, sweetheart." Sophie's eyes drifted closed, a peaceful smile on her lips. Natalie sat there in the dim nursery watching her breathe and felt the full weight of what she'd done. She'd lied her way into this little girl's life, and now she didn't know how to leave without breaking both their hearts. Downstairs, Natalie's phone rang. It was Cole. "How is she?" His voice was rough, tired. "Asleep. We had a good day." "Where did you go?" Natalie hesitated. "The city park. I hope that's okay. I thought she needed..." "The public park?" He sounded surprised. "Alone?" "We were careful. And she loved it, Mr. Hartwell. She got to just be a kid, without walls or security or..." "I'm not angry," he interrupted quietly. "Thank you." Silence stretched between them. "The deal," Natalie ventured. "Did you fix it?" A long exhale. "No. I walked away." "What?" "I sat in that boardroom listening to them talk about profit margins and risk assessment, and all I could think about was Sophie asking when I'd be home." His voice cracked, just slightly. What's the point of building an empire if I'm not there for the only person who matters? Natalie's chest tightened. She asked about you today. She wanted to know why you're always gone. What did you tell her? That you're working hard for her. But, she paused, choosing her words carefully. She'd rather have less and have you. Cole was quiet for a long time. I'm flying back tonight, he said finally. I'll be home by morning. She'll be happy. Natalie. Yes? That place you took her, the park. His voice softened. Will you take me there sometime, show me her world? Natalie smiled, tears threatening. I'd like that. That night, after the call ended, Natalie sat alone in the guest room Cole had offered her for the weekend. She pulled out her phone and stared at the text from her landlord. The job paid well, better than anything she'd had before, but the first paycheck wouldn't come for another week, and rent was due in 2 days. She thought about asking Cole for an advance, but that would require explanation, documentation, questions she couldn't answer honestly. The lie was collapsing, and she didn't know how to stop it. But what Natalie didn't know was that Cole had already started digging deeper. Cole arrived home at dawn. The house was still dark, wrapped in that peculiar silence that exists only in the hours before the world wakes. He moved through the foyer quietly, his overnight bag abandoned by the door, and found himself climbing the stairs toward Sophie's room. The door was cracked open. Inside, Natalie was asleep in the reading chair, a book fallen open in her lap. Sophie was curled in her bed, one small hand reaching out toward Natalie even in sleep, as if making sure she was still there. Cole stood in the doorway, watching. This woman, this stranger who'd walked into their lives less than a month ago, had given his daughter something he'd been unable to provide: peace. But the background check still nagged at him. The gaps, the vague references, the feeling that something essential was being left unsaid. He pulled out his phone and sent a text to his head of security. Dig deeper. I want to know everything. Natalie woke to find Cole standing over her. She startled, nearly dropping the book. Mr. Hartwell, I'm sorry, I must have fallen asleep. It's fine. His voice was softer than usual. Thank you for staying. She stood, smoothing her wrinkled shirt self-consciously. How was your trip? Short. He glanced at Sophie, still sleeping peacefully. I made a choice. The business will survive. She won't remember board meetings, but she'll remember if I wasn't there. Natalie smiled. That's the right choice. Because of you. The words hung between them, heavy with unspoken meaning. Natalie started, but Sophie stirred, cutting off whatever she might have said. Daddy? The little girl's eyes opened, widening when she saw him. You came back. She scrambled out of bed and launched herself into his arms. Cole caught her, holding her tight, his eyes closing against the emotion that threatened to overwhelm him. I promised, didn't I? He murmured into her hair. You're always promising, Sophie said. But this time, you really came back. Over his daughter's head, Cole's eyes met Natalie's, and something shifted between them, something neither was ready to name. The morning unfolded differently than usual. Cole didn't disappear into his office. Instead, he joined them for breakfast, pancakes at Sophie's insistence. He was awkward at first, uncertain how to simply exist in his own home without purpose or agenda. But Natalie made space for him. She showed him how Sophie liked her pancakes cut into stars, how she always saved the best bite for last, small intimacies of his daughter's life that he'd missed while building kingdoms. She also loves the swings at the park, Natalie said, pouring coffee, and she's teaching herself to read. She's already finished 3 picture books this week. Cole looked at his daughter with wonder. I didn't know that. Because you weren't looking, Natalie said gently. It should have sounded like an accusation, but it didn't. It sounded like an invitation. Then show me, Cole said. Show me how to see her. That afternoon, Cole cleared his schedule. The 3 of them went to the park, the same one Natalie had taken Sophie 2 days before. Cole felt absurdly out of place in his $1,000 shoes and tailored coat, but Sophie's laughter as he pushed her on the swings made everything else irrelevant. Natalie watched from a bench, her heart doing something complicated and dangerous in her chest. This was what she'd wanted, for Sophie to have her father back, for this family to heal. So why did it hurt so much? Because you're falling for him, a voice whispered, and you have no right to. Cole caught her eye from across the playground and smiled, a real smile, unguarded and warm, and Natalie's carefully constructed walls began to crumble. That evening, after Sophie was in bed, Cole found Natalie in the kitchen, cleaning up. You don't have to do that, he said. We have staff. I know, I like to keep busy. He leaned against the counter, watching her. You're good with her. With Sophie. It's more than training. It's instinct. Natalie's hands stilled in the soapy water. I care about her. I can see that. He paused. Where did you work before this? Your resume mentioned a family in Europe. The question was casual, but Natalie heard the edge beneath it. London, she said carefully. For 2 years. What were their names? Her pulse quickened. The Ashfords. Why? Just curious. He moved closer. It's strange. I have colleagues in London. Move in those circles, but I've never heard of them. Natalie forced herself to breathe normally. It's a big city. True. His eyes never left hers. And before London? Mr. Hartwell. Cole, he corrected softly. I think we're past formalities, don't you? The intimacy in his tone made her heart race. Cole, she repeated. Why are you asking me this? Because something doesn't add up. He was close now, close enough that she could see the conflict in his eyes. Your resume is perfect, your references check out, but it all feels rehearsed. Scripted. I don't know what you mean. Don't you? He reached out, his fingers brushing her wrist. I've built my entire career on reading people, Natalie, on knowing when someone is hiding something. She pulled her hand back, her defenses rising. If you don't trust me, fire me. That's the problem. His voice dropped. I do trust you. With my daughter. With my home. And I don't understand why. The air between them crackled with tension. Maybe you should learn to trust your instincts, Natalie said quietly. My instincts are telling me you're lying. The words landed like a blow. Natalie's face went pale. I should go. Natalie. But she was already moving toward the door, her hands shaking, her carefully maintained composure fracturing. Cole caught her arm gently. Wait, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. She met his eyes, and he saw fear there. Real, raw fear. You want the truth? Fine. I'm not who you think I am. I don't have years of experience. I don't have perfect references. I barely know what I'm doing. Her voice cracked. But I love your daughter, and I've given her everything I have. So if that's not enough, then fire me. But don't stand here and accuse me of... I'm not firing you. She stopped, breathing hard. I'm trying to understand you, Cole said, because every instinct I have is telling me to keep you away, to protect my daughter from whatever secret you're hiding. He stepped closer. But the truth is, I don't want you to leave, and that terrifies me more than any lie you could tell. Natalie stared at him, tears threatening. Why? She whispered. Cole's hand came up to cup her face, his thumb brushing away a tear that had escaped. Because when I look at you, he said, his voice rough, I don't just see someone who's good with my daughter. I see someone who makes me want to be better, to do better. He paused, and I haven't felt that in a very long time. The space between them evaporated. Natalie could feel his breath on her lips, see the war in his eyes, between logic and feeling, between protection and surrender. Cole, she breathed, we can't... I know. But neither of them moved. The kiss happened like gravity, inevitable and irreversible, soft at first, tentative, as if testing whether this was real or just another beautiful lie. Then deeper, hungrier, as weeks of unspoken tension finally found release. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. This is a mistake, Natalie whispered. Probably. I work for you. I know. And I'm... She stopped herself before confessing everything. I'm not who you need me to be. Cole's forehead rested against hers. What if you're exactly who I need? That night, Natalie barely slept. She lay in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, replaying the kiss over and over, feeling Cole's hands in her hair, his heart racing against hers. She'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross, and tomorrow everything would change. At 2 a.m. her phone buzzed. Cole, are you awake? Her fingers trembled as she typed, Yes, Cole. I can't stop thinking about you. Natalie, this is dangerous. Cole, I know. Cole, but I'm done pretending I don't feel this. Natalie closed her eyes, tears sliding down her temples. Natalie, there are things you don't know about me. Cole, then tell me. She stared at the message for a long time, but fear won. Natalie, I can't. The typing indicator appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Cole, then I'll wait until you're ready. Cole, but Natalie, whatever you're running from, you don't have to run anymore. She turned off her phone and cried into her pillow, knowing that the lie was about to cost her everything. The next morning, Cole's head of security called. Sir, we found something. Cole was in his office, exhausted, conflicted, already regretting having asked for more digging. What is it? Natalie Moreno. The references, they're real people, but they never employed her. Someone coached her, helped her build a false identity. Cole's blood ran cold. You're sure? Positive. She's never worked as a nanny before. The whole resume is fabricated. Why would she? There's more, sir. She's behind on rent, struggling financially. Her younger brother is in community college. She's been supporting him. Medical debt from her mother's death last year. A pause. She's desperate, and desperate people make calculated choices. Cole's mind raced. The pieces were falling into place. She'd lied to get the job, to survive, and he'd fallen for someone who didn't exist. Sir, do you want me to... No. Cole's voice was hollow. I'll handle it. He ended the call and sat in silence, staring at nothing. Everything he'd felt last night, the connection, the hope, the possibility of something real, It was all built on sand. Sophie would be devastated. And so would he. When Natalie arrived that morning, she found Cole waiting in the foyer. His expression was unreadable, cold. "We need to talk," he said. And Natalie knew. The truth had finally caught up with her. But the words he was about to say would shatter more than just her heart. "You lied to me." Cole's voice was quiet, controlled. But Natalie heard the betrayal beneath it. They stood in his office, the door closed, the morning light casting long shadows across the floor. Sophie was still asleep upstairs, unaware that her world was about to break again. "Yes," Natalie said simply. There was no point in denying it anymore. The references, the experience, all of it. "Yes." Cole's jaw tightened. "Why?" "Because I needed the job." Her voice was steady even as her hands trembled. "Because I was 3 days from being evicted. Because my brother would have to drop out of school. Because I was drowning. And this was the only lifeline I could reach. So you lied your way into my home, into my daughter's life." "I did. Do you have any idea—" His voice cracked and he had to start again. "Do you have any idea what it's like to trust someone with the most important thing in your world, only to find out they've been lying from the beginning?" Natalie's eyes filled with tears. "I know what I did was wrong. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But everything I've given Sophie, the care, the love, the time, that was real. That was never a lie. How am I supposed to believe that?" Cole turned away, his hands braced against his desk. "How am I supposed to trust anything you say?" "You can't," Natalie's voice broke. "And I don't blame you." Silence stretched between them, heavy and suffocating. "I want you gone by noon," Cole said finally. "I'll pay you through the end of the month, but I don't want you near my daughter again." The words landed like stones in her chest. "Cole, please. It's Mr. Hartwell." His back was still to her. "And this conversation is over." Natalie stood there, willing him to turn around, to see her, to remember what they'd shared just hours ago. But he didn't move. She left the office with tears streaming down her face. Upstairs, Natalie found Sophie awake, sitting on her bed with her rabbit. "Nat!" The little girl's face lit up. "Can we go to the park again today?" Natalie knelt down, taking Sophie's small hands in hers. "Sweetheart, I need to tell you something." "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" "I have to go away for a while." Sophie's smile vanished. "No, you promised you'd stay." "I know, baby, I know. But sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, and I don't care about mistakes." Sophie's voice rose, panicked. "Don't leave me, please don't leave me like Mama did." Natalie pulled her close, both of them crying now. "You are the bravest, kindest, most wonderful little girl I've ever known," Natalie whispered. "And I love you so much. That will never change, no matter where I am." "Then stay." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because I broke your father's trust. Because I'm not who he thought I was. Because I fell in love with both of you and ruined everything." "Because it's time," Natalie said instead. She held Sophie until the little girl's sobs quieted to hiccups. Then she kissed her forehead one last time and walked out of the room. She didn't look back. If she had, she would have stayed. And that would only make everything worse. 3 weeks later, Cole told himself he'd made the right decision. He hired a new nanny, older, experienced, with impeccable credentials that he'd personally verified. She was competent, professional, kind enough. Sophie hated her. She wouldn't eat, wouldn't sleep, wouldn't speak except to ask when Natalie was coming back. "She's not," Cole said over and over. "She had to leave." "Why?" Because it wasn't working out." You're lying." Sophie's voice was flat, certain. "You made her leave, just like you made Mama leave." The accusation gutted him. "Sophie, that's not... I hate you." She ran upstairs and slammed her door. Cole stood alone in the hallway of his empty, perfect house and realized that in trying to protect his daughter, he'd broken her all over again. He found the drawing a week later. It had slipped under Sophie's bed, a crayon picture of 3 stick figures holding hands, one tall, one medium, one small. At the bottom, in careful block letters, "My family." Cole sat on the floor of his daughter's room staring at the drawing and finally let himself feel everything he'd been avoiding. Natalie had lied about her credentials, but she'd never lied about loving Sophie, or about the kind of man he could be if he chose to be. She'd seen past his walls, his wealth, his carefully controlled exterior. She'd seen him, the broken, grieving father who didn't know how to help his own daughter. And she'd loved him anyway. He pulled out his phone and called his head of security. "Find her," he said. "Natalie Moreno, I need to know where she is." "Sir, we already..." "I don't care what it costs. Find her." Natalie was working double shifts at a diner across town when Cole finally found her. She looked tired, thinner, but when she laughed at something a customer said, he saw that same warmth that had undone him from the beginning. He waited until her shift ended. She walked out into the parking lot and stopped dead when she saw him leaning against his car. "What are you doing here?" she asked quietly. "I came to apologize." Natalie shook her head. "You don't owe me anything. I lied. You were right to..." "You lied about your resume," Cole interrupted. "But you told the truth about everything that mattered." He stepped closer. "You loved my daughter when I didn't know how. You saw me, really saw me, when everyone else just saw money and power." His voice roughened. "And I threw you out because I was too afraid to trust that something real could come from something broken." Tears spilled down Natalie's cheeks. "Sophie asks about you every day," Cole continued. "She drew a picture of the 3 of us, called it My Family." He pulled the folded drawing from his pocket and held it out. "And I realized she's right. That's what we were, what we could be again." "Cole, I'm not asking you to come back as the nanny," he said. "I'm asking you to come back as yourself. No lies, no walls, just you." Natalie looked at the drawing, at the 3 figures holding hands, and felt something break open in her chest. "I'm still broke," she whispered. "Still struggling, still the same girl who lied her way into your life." "Good," Cole said, "because I don't want perfect. I just want real." He cupped her face gently. "I want you. What if I break your heart again? Then we'll fix it. Together." She laughed through her tears. "That's a terrible plan." "I know." He smiled, soft, genuine, full of hope. "But it's the only one I want." Natalie kissed him then, tasting salt and forgiveness and the beginning of something neither of them had expected. When they broke apart, she whispered, "Take me home." "To the estate?" "No." She pressed her hand over his heart. "Home." Sophie was in her room when they arrived, sitting by the window, staring out at nothing. The new nanny started to speak, but Cole waved her away. He opened Sophie's door quietly. "Sweetheart, there's someone here to see you." Sophie didn't turn. "I don't want to see anyone." "Not even me?" Natalie's voice was soft. Sophie spun around, eyes wide. "Nat? Hi, baby." Sophie flew across the room and into Natalie's arms, sobbing. "You came back. You came back." "I came back," Natalie whispered, holding her tight. And I'm not leaving again. I promise. Cole watched them, his heart full and breaking and healing all at once. This was his family, messy, imperfect, built on mistakes and second chances, but real. Finally real. And for the first time in years, the house felt like home. Everything changed slowly, not in grand gestures or cinematic declarations, but in small, quiet moments that rebuilt trust brick by brick. Natalie moved into the guest house on the estate, no longer as an employee, but as something neither of them had quite found words for yet. She paid rent from her savings, insisted on it, even when Cole said it was unnecessary. "I need to do this my way," she told him. "I need to stand on my own first." And he'd understood, because love, real love, wasn't about rescue. It was about respect. Sophie bloomed like spring after winter. She laughed freely now, slept through the night, started drawing again. Pages and pages of the three of them doing ordinary things, eating breakfast, playing in the garden, just existing together. And Cole. Cole was learning what it meant to be present. It was a Tuesday morning when everything crystallized. Cole came downstairs to find Natalie and Sophie making pancakes, their ritual now, every Tuesday without fail. Flour dusted the counter, laughter filled the kitchen. Sun streamed through the windows. "Daddy," Sophie spotted him, "you're still here." "I cleared my morning," he said, pulling up a chair. Natalie glanced at him, surprised. "The board meeting." "Can wait," he smiled. "This can't." Sophie beamed and brought him a slightly lopsided pancake, pride written all over her small face. "I made it myself," she announced. Cole took a bite and his expression turned serious. "Sophie, this is the best pancake I've ever had." "Really? Really?" He pulled her into his lap. "You know what else?" "What?" "I'm sorry I missed so many of these mornings. I thought work was more important, but I was wrong." He looked at Natalie as he spoke. "The people we love, that's what matters. Everything else is just noise." Natalie's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Sophie wrapped her arms around his neck. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, sweetheart, more than all the stars." It was a simple moment, ordinary, and it meant everything. Later that week, Cole asked Natalie to accompany him to a charity gala. "You don't have to," he said quickly. "I know these events can be—" "I'd love to," she interrupted. Then, quieter, "But Cole, I don't have anything to wear to something like that." He'd already thought of that. "There's a boutique downtown, my treat, non-negotiable." "Cole, you've given me and Sophie more than money could ever buy. Let me do this, please." So she went. And when the evening arrived, Cole stood at the bottom of the grand staircase, adjusting his cufflinks, trying not to look as nervous as he felt. Then Natalie appeared. The dress was simple, deep emerald green, elegant but understated. But it wasn't the dress that stole his breath. It was the way she carried herself, confident, beautiful, completely herself. "You're staring," she said, descending the stairs with a shy smile. "I know." He couldn't look away. "You're stunning. I'm terrified." "Don't be," he offered his arm. "They should be terrified of you." The gala was everything Natalie had feared, glittering, exclusive, full of people who moved in circles she'd never touched. Old money, new power, conversations about summer homes and private jets. But Cole never left her side. When someone asked what she did, he answered before she could fumble for words. "Natalie's the reason my daughter smiles again. The reason I remember what matters. When a woman in diamonds made a snide comment about Natalie's quaint background, Cole's response was ice cold. Quaint is a word people use when they've forgotten how to be real. And when they danced, slow, intimate, the rest of the room fading away, he whispered, "You belong here, not because of the dress or the venue, but because you belong with me." Natalie rested her head against his chest, feeling his heartbeat, steady and sure. "I never thought I'd have this," she murmured. "Have what?" "Someone who sees me, all of me, the mistakes, the struggles, the truth, and stays anyway." Cole pulled back just enough to look at her. "Natalie, I'm the one who's lucky. You taught me that wealth without love is just emptiness, that control without vulnerability is just fear." He touched her face gently. "You saved me, both of us." "We saved each other," she corrected. And they both knew it was true. The real transformation happened 1 month later. Cole called a family meeting. Him, Natalie, and Sophie, sitting together in the living room that had once felt like a museum, but now felt lived in, warm. "I've been thinking," he began, "about what I want my life to look like, what I want Sophie's life to look like." Sophie looked up from her coloring. "Are you leaving again?" "No, sweetheart. The opposite." He took a breath. "I'm stepping back from the company, letting someone else run the day-to-day operations." Natalie's eyes widened. "Cole, I've spent 10 years building an empire," he continued, "but I almost lost everything that mattered while doing it. My daughter, myself." He looked at Natalie. "The chance to love someone who makes me want to be better." "What will you do?" Natalie asked softly. "Be present. Be a father. Maybe start a foundation. Something that helps families like yours, Natalie. People who are struggling, who need a hand up, not a handout." "Like me," she whispered. "Like you. People with heart, with fight, who just need someone to believe in them." Sophie climbed into his lap. "Does this mean more pancake mornings?" Cole laughed, the sound free and unguarded. "Every single one." That evening, after Sophie was asleep, Cole and Natalie sat together on the terrace, wrapped in blankets against the autumn chill. "Are you sure about this?" Natalie asked. "The company is your life's work." "No," Cole said. "Sophie is my life's work. And you." He turned to face her. "I don't need an empire. I just need this. Us." Natalie's throat tightened. "I never imagined I could have something like this. Someone like you." "Funny. I was thinking the same thing." He pulled a small box from his pocket. Natalie's breath caught. "Cole, wait. Before you panic." He opened it, revealing not a ring but a key. "It's to the house. Not the guest house. This house. Our house. I don't understand. I'm asking you to stay. Not as the nanny, not as my girlfriend, but as family." His voice roughened with emotion. "I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring things out. But I don't want you in the guest house anymore. I want you here, with us, always." Tears spilled down Natalie's cheeks. "What about Sophie?" "It was her idea, actually. She said, 'Daddy, Nat should sleep in the big house so we can have breakfast together every day.'" He smiled. "She's smarter than both of us." Natalie took the key with trembling hands. "This is really happening. If you want it to be." "I want it," she whispered. "God, I want it so much." Cole kissed her then, slow, deep, full of promise and hope and all the things they'd both thought they'd lost. When they pulled apart, Natalie laughed through her tears. A billionaire, a little girl, and a liar who pretended to be a nanny. We're quite the family. The best kind, Cole said. The real kind. That night, as Natalie moved her few belongings into Cole's home, their home, she found Sophie waiting in the hallway. "You're really staying?" the little girl asked. "Really staying?" Sophie hugged her tight. "I knew you would. I drew it, remember?" "You did, sweetheart. You were right all along." "Nat?" "Yes?" "Are you going to marry Daddy?" Natalie's heart skipped. "Would you want that?" Sophie nodded solemnly. "Then you'd be my real mama. Forever." Natalie knelt down, taking Sophie's small hands. "I'm already yours forever, with or without a piece of paper." "But the paper makes it extra real," Natalie laughed softly. "You're absolutely right." And in that moment, she knew. This wasn't just about falling in love with Cole. It was about becoming the family all three of them needed, built on truth, on second chances, on the radical idea that love could heal anything if you let it. And for the first time in their lives, they all felt complete. 1 year later, the autumn leaves were falling again, painting the estate grounds in shades of amber and gold, the same colors that had framed their beginning, but everything else had changed. Cole stood at the kitchen window, watching Natalie and Sophie in the garden. They were planting bulbs for spring, their hands dirty, their laughter carrying on the wind. Sophie was explaining something with intense seriousness, her small hands gesturing wildly, and Natalie was listening like it was the most important conversation in the world. He smiled, remembering the cold, silent house this had once been. Now it was filled with noise, with life, with love that had nothing to do with perfection and everything to do with presence. The coffee maker beeped behind him, their Tuesday morning ritual, expanded now to include homemade cinnamon rolls that Natalie had taught him to make. He'd burned the first 3 batches. She'd laughed and kissed him anyway. "Daddy!" Sophie burst through the door, cheeks flushed, eyes bright. "Come see, the tulips are going to be red and yellow, just like you and Nat said." "Did you save some for me to plant?" he asked. "Obviously." She rolled her eyes with the dramatic flair only a 5-year-old could muster. "You're part of the family, you have to help." Part of the family. Such simple words, such profound meaning. Outside, Natalie straightened as Cole approached, wiping dirt on her jeans and grinning. "Your daughter is a natural gardener. She's already planned next year's entire layout." "Our daughter," Cole corrected gently. The words still made Natalie's heart flutter. 6 months ago, on a quiet morning much like this one, Cole had asked her to marry him. No grand gesture, no elaborate proposal, just the 3 of them making pancakes, and Sophie suddenly announcing, "Daddy has something to ask you." He'd gotten down on one knee right there in the kitchen, flour on his shirt, love in his eyes. "You taught me that the best things in life aren't planned," he'd said. "They're discovered, built, chosen every single day." He'd opened a velvet box. "So I'm choosing you, today and every day after. Will you marry me?" Natalie had said yes before he'd even finished the question. The wedding had been small, intimate. Sophie as flower girl, her little hands trembling as she walked down the aisle, taking her job very seriously. They'd exchanged vows in the garden where Natalie had first shown Cole how to see his daughter, where they'd built something real from broken pieces. And when the officiant had said, "You may kiss your bride," Sophie had cheered so loudly that everyone had laughed through their tears. Now, Cole knelt in the garden dirt beside his wife. His wife, he still marveled at that, and helped plant the bulbs that would bloom in spring. "Remember when I fired you?" he said quietly. Natalie laughed. Which time? You were very dramatic about it. The first time. The real time. He paused, his hands stilling in the earth. I was so afraid of being hurt again, of trusting the wrong person, of failing Sophie. And now? Now I know that love isn't about being safe. It's about being brave enough to be vulnerable, to admit when you're wrong, to let someone see all your broken parts and trust they'll stay anyway. Natalie leaned against him, dirt-stained and beautiful. You know what I learned? What? That sometimes the biggest lies we tell are the ones we tell ourselves. I thought I needed to be perfect to deserve love, but you taught me that being real is so much better. Sophie, who'd been listening with the selective hearing of children, piped up, Are you guys being mushy again? Extremely mushy, Cole confirmed. Gross, but she was grinning. Can we make pancakes now? It's Tuesday, Natalie said. Of course we can. The afternoon unfolded the way their lives did now, unhurried, intentional, rich with small moments. They made pancakes together, all three of them working in the kitchen that had once felt too big and now felt just right. Cole flipped, Sophie added chocolate chips with serious concentration, and Natalie hummed softly, the same melody from the music box, the one that had first connected her to a frightened little girl. After lunch, Cole worked in his home office, not running an empire anymore, but building something better. The Hartwell Foundation, dedicated to helping single parents and struggling families, providing resources, childcare, financial literacy, job training. Everything Natalie had needed and never had. She ran it with him. Her title was officially Director of Family Services, but her real job was using her story to help others, to prove that one chance, one person believing in you, could change everything. As evening fell, they returned to their ritual. The three of them curled on the couch, Sophie between them reading together. Tonight, it was her choice. A story about a dragon who was afraid of his own fire until a brave girl taught him to be proud of who he was. That's like us, Sophie said when they finished. We were all scared, but then we found each other and got brave. Cole and Natalie exchanged glances over her head. You're absolutely right, sweetheart, Natalie said softly. I know. Sophie yawned, nestling deeper between them. I'm always right. Cole chuckled and kissed the top of her head. Can't argue with that logic. Later, after Sophie was asleep, Cole and Natalie stood in the doorway of her room. Their room now, the guest room converted into Sophie's art studio, watching her breathe peacefully. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't lied on that resume? Natalie whispered. Every day, Cole admitted. And every day, I'm grateful you did. Even knowing it was wrong? Even knowing that, he pulled her close. Because it brought you to us, and sometimes the wrong path leads to exactly where you're supposed to be. They stood in comfortable silence, two people who'd found each other in the wreckage of their separate lives and built something beautiful from the ruins. Cole, Natalie said after a moment. Thank you. For what? For seeing me. For giving me a second chance. For teaching me that love isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. He turned her to face him, his eyes soft in the dim hallway light. You gave me the same gift. You taught me that success without connection is just emptiness, that being a good father is more important than being a powerful CEO, that the best things in life can't be controlled or planned, they can only be felt. Natalie rose on her toes and kissed him, tender, grateful, full of all the words they'd never need to say aloud. I love you, she whispered against his lips. I love you too, always. That night, as they lay in bed, windows open to let in the autumn air, Natalie thought about the terrified girl who'd walked into this house a year ago. She'd been broke, desperate, armed with nothing but a lie and a prayer. And she'd found everything she'd ever needed, not the wealth, not the security, but the love, the family, the sense of belonging she'd been searching for her entire life. "What are you thinking about?" Cole murmured in the darkness. "That I pretended to be a nanny and ended up finding home." His arms tightened around her. "We all found home." And it was true. 3 broken people. A cold billionaire who'd forgotten how to feel, a grieving child who'd stopped believing in love, and a desperate woman who'd lied her way into their lives, had somehow healed each other. Not through grand gestures or perfect moments, but through pancakes on Tuesday mornings, through patience and forgiveness, through choosing each other again and again, even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. Outside, the autumn wind scattered leaves across the garden, and inside a family slept peacefully, together. Finally, truly, completely together. He thought it was just a temporary job. She thought it was just survival. But it became the beginning of everything. If this story touched your heart, like, comment, and subscribe for more romances that remind us love can heal the deepest wounds, that second chances are real, and that sometimes the family we need finds us in the most unexpected ways.